Challenge was to survive 7 days on 50 bucks. The prize, a staggering 120 million. Simple math, brutal reality. A bottle of water cost 15. A sandwich ran 40. Everyone else whispered, laughed, even sneered at me.
You're doomed, they said.
They didn't know I thrived in these conditions. Call it luck, call it experience, call it what you will. I was a sophisticated dirt poor, and the game was practically tailored to me. I would be the one walking out alive, side by side with the few who dared to last. A mechanical, electronic voice cut through the anticipation. Welcome to the dirt poor game. Initial funds, $50. Objective, survive in the game for 7 days. Winner receives 120 million. Overspending, death, or leaving the game zone will result in elimination and a 120 million debt. A pause, heavy with mischief. Now, any cowards want to quit? Quit? I laughed under my breath. A young guy with bleached blonde hair scoffed, shaking his head. 7 days? I could survive on water alone. A chubby kid in a soaked t-shirt muttered something about stretching $50 over bagels and peanut butter. His shoulders sagged with nervous energy, but the glint in his eyes said he still believed in fortune favoring the bold. Only an idiot would quit now. Around us, the crowd buzzed with blind excitement, some daring each other with smirks and bets, others frozen in silent panic. Finally, the system confirmed what I already knew. Not a single player has quit. Game rules activated. Players cannot quit. 100 players deployed. Welcome to Airport Odyssey. May you survive. A flash of white light swallowed me, and then chaos. I was standing in an airport that stretched endlessly in all directions, terminals disappearing into vanishing points. Travelers streamed past, faces blurred, some human, some not. I couldn't tell which were players and which were NPCs. I glanced at my interface. $50. Exactly as promised. 3 stats blinked above it. Hunger, thirst, energy, all full. My eyes caught a convenience store across the terminal, a flicker of hope. I moved toward it, scanning the shelves. Then came the sound that froze me in place, a choked, terrified cry. Holy hell. It was the chubby kid from earlier, staring at the cooler like it had just turned into a wall of fire. $15 for a bottle of water, he groaned, eyes wide. Highway robbery. I stepped closer, heart sinking. Cupcakes? 50 bucks. Sandwiches? 40. Bagels? 10. Even the cheapest pack of graham crackers was 18. The math was merciless. 7 days, $50, and not enough to buy half a bottle of water each day. He grabbed my arm, panic flaring. Player 66, sis, we're screwed. 50 bucks won't even cover 3 bottles of water for a week. We'll starve, we'll die. I let out a long sigh. Charity wasn't in the system's vocabulary. I already knew survival wouldn't be easy. Around us, other players crowded the store, faces twisted with disbelief and dread. Miss, I'm player 44, the kid said, rubbing sweat from his brow. Come on, let's team up. I can handle anyone who messes with you. He threw a quick flurry of martial arts moves, smooth but nervous. I shook my head politely. Not yet. I needed to understand the rules before I trusted anyone. My eyes scanned the terminal. My priority was simple, cold, and clear. Water. Free water. Outside the restroom, I spotted a water fountain. 2 discarded plastic bottles lay nearby, dented and forgotten. I washed them quickly, filling both to the brim. Water. Problem solved. Cost, 0. Survival didn't have to be complicated yet. Next came energy. My eyes fell on a Starbucks across the terminal. The condiment stand gleamed under the harsh fluorescent lights, rows of sugar packets and creamer cups lined neatly like soldiers. Sugar was essential. It could save me from low blood sugar, from weakness, from mistakes. I moved toward it, calm and deliberate, every motion fluid and casual, like I belonged there. Within seconds, a dozen sugar packets and a few creamers slid into my pockets. Less than 2 seconds. Then just as casually, I walked out. Reaching a deserted corner, I tore 2 packets open and dumped the sugar directly into my mouth. Sweetness exploded, sharp and cloying, but energizing. Cost, 0. The airport's air conditioning blasted like an icebox. Maybe the system had designed it this way. Colder temperatures burn energy faster. My thin clothes offered little protection, but I improvised, moving to stay warm. A discarded airline blanket in a trash can become my temporary armor against the chill. Hunger, however, was more persistent. By 8 p.m., I drifted toward a small bakery tucked behind a glass counter. The unsold bread radiated warmth and a rich, yeasty aroma. My stomach growled loudly, a reminder that instincts alone weren't enough. My dirt-poor instincts whispered that the bread should be discounted by now. A loaf marked $30 sat temptingly behind the glass. Now it read 15. Still, not enough. Waiting longer could yield deeper discounts, maybe even free. Every saved dollar was a chance to survive another hour, another day. I perched on a chair across from the bakery, half closing my eyes to rest. The quiet was shattered by an anonymous broadcast on the game's public channel. Head to the bakery in Terminal 3, Zone A. Bread here is half price. Hurry, don't shove. It's mine. Pandemonium erupted. 20, maybe 30 players surged toward the bakery, like a stampede. People waved cash frantically, grabbing loaves straight off shelves. Staff shouted for order, but their voices were drowned in chaos. Within minutes, every discounted loaf, including the one I had been eyeing, was gone. Some players held their bread triumphantly, relief written across their faces. Others pounded their chests, cursing their luck. Curses, complaints, and desperate sighs hung in the cold air like smoke. My hunger pangs twisted sharply, yet I forced a deep breath, suppressing the cramps. My gaze drifted upward to the flight information screens hanging above the terminal. Red statuses scrolled relentlessly. It was time to show my true skills. The red letters on the departure board told a story most players hadn't yet understood. Delayed. Delayed. Cancelled. Flight after flight, destination after destination. This wasn't just an airport, it was a trap designed to bleed money from the desperate. But delays meant something else entirely to someone like me. Delays meant free food. I approached the nearest gate agent, a tired-looking NPC or player. I still couldn't tell, shuffling papers behind a desk. The crowd around her had thinned after the latest cancellation announcement. "Excuse me," I said, my voice carrying just the right blend of exhaustion and concern. "My flight's been delayed 6 hours. Are there meal vouchers available?" She barely looked up. "Vouchers are only for delays over 8 hours. Oh. I let my shoulders slump, then brightened slightly. "What about the passenger rights compensation? I read something about that online." A flicker of annoyance crossed her face. "You'd need to file a formal complaint. Takes 3 business days to process." I nodded slowly, as if accepting defeat, then played my real card. "I understand. It's just, I'm diabetic and I need to eat regularly. Is there anything you can do?" Even just pointing me toward where they put the expired sandwiches. Her expression softened minutely. She glanced around, then leaned forward. "Wait here." 3 minutes later, she returned with a wrapped sandwich and a small bag of pretzels. "Don't tell anyone. These were supposed to be thrown out anyway." "Thank you so much," I breathed, genuine gratitude flooding my voice. As I walked away, I checked my interface. Hunger, 78%. Thirst, 85%. Energy, 82%. Balance, $50. Cost, 0. Behind me, I heard Player 44's voice rising in pitch. "What do you mean you don't have any more?" "She just got food." "I need food too." The agent's voice turned cold. "Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to step back." I found a quiet corner near gate C17 and unwrapped my prize. The sandwich was dry, the lettuce wilted, but it was sustenance. As I ate slowly, savoring every bite, I observed the other players. Most had already spent money. I could see it in the way they clutched shopping bags, held half-empty water bottles, or nervously checked their interfaces. The blonde kid from earlier strutted past with a large coffee, $20 gone in a single impulse. Others huddled in groups, pooling resources or arguing about strategy. The public channel crackled to life again. Day 1, hour 12. Current player count, 100. Eliminations, 0. Average remaining balance, $38.50. Someone had already burned through almost $12. The game had barely begun. A new announcement echoed through the terminal. "Attention passengers. Due to inclement weather, all flights are grounded until further notice. Complimentary blankets available at Terminal B, Gate 7. First come, first served." The stampede began immediately. I stayed seated, finishing my sandwich. Blankets were useful, sure, but I already had one. More importantly, I noticed something else on the departures board, a pattern in the delays. Every 2 hours, one specific flight kept getting pushed back by exactly 30 minutes. Flight AA 2847 to somewhere called Nexus Point. That flight was important. I didn't know why yet, but the system wanted us to notice it. I settled back against the wall, pulling my salvaged blanket tighter. Around me, the airport's fluorescent lights hummed their monotonous song. In the distance, I heard shouting as the blanket distribution turned into a brawl. Survive 7 days. That was all I had to do. I closed my eyes and began counting the hours until my next move. I woke to the sound of crying. It was soft at first, muffled, like someone trying desperately to hide their breakdown. I opened my eyes to find the terminal dimmer. They must have switched to night lighting. My interface read 3:47 a.m., day 2. The crying was coming from a figure huddled near the window, silhouetted against the tarmac lights. I recognized the body language before I saw the face. Player 44, the chubby martial arts kid. "Hey," I said quietly, approaching. "You okay?" He jumped, wiping his face quickly. Player 66. "Yeah, I'm fine." His interface was visible on his wrist display. Balance, $23.50. $26.50 spent in less than a day. My stomach tightened. What happened? He laughed bitterly. "I got hungry. Bought a sandwich. Then I got thirsty. Bought water. Then I thought, might as well get something for tomorrow, right? So, I bought another sandwich. And chips. And..." He trailed off. "I'm an idiot." "You're panicking," I corrected. "Different thing. Same result. I'm going to die in here." He looked at me with desperate eyes. "Please, team up with me. I can protect you. I'm strong. I can." "Protection isn't the problem," I interrupted. "Resources are. And if I team up with you, your spending habits become my problem." His face crumpled. "So, you're just going to let me die?" I should have walked away. The rational, survival-focused part of my brain screamed at me to cut loose the dead weight. But another part, maybe the stupid part, remembered what it was like to be young and scared and in over your head. "Listen," I said, sitting down next to him. "I'm not carrying you, but I'll make you a deal. I teach you how to survive on nothing, and you watch my back when I need to rest. Equal partnership. You follow my rules exactly, no improvising, no panic buying. Deal?" He nodded frantically. "Deal. Yes." Thank you. Thank you. First rule." I cut him off. "Stop thanking me. Gratitude makes you weak, makes you feel like you owe me. We're partners, not charity case and savior." "Got it. Got it." Second rule, never, ever announce free stuff on the public channel. "That was you at the bakery, wasn't it?" He had the grace to look ashamed. I don't know. I thought people would appreciate it. "You created a stampede. You know what happens in stampedes? People get hurt. Resources get hoarded. And you make enemies." I leaned forward. "In this game, information is more valuable than money. You give it away, you're giving away your edge." "I understand. Do you?" I studied him. "What's your real name?" "James. James Chen." "Okay, James. I'm Maya Patel. And starting now, we survive together, but only if you can prove you're worth the investment." his jaw set with determination. What do I need to do? I smiled. First lesson, airport infrastructure. Come on. Over the next 2 hours, I taught James everything I knew about surviving in institutional spaces. The maintenance closets that were rarely locked. The employee break rooms with microwaves and sometimes, if you were lucky, forgotten leftovers. The loading docks where delivery trucks occasionally left pallets of supplies unattended for precious minutes. But most importantly, I taught him about people. See that guy? I nodded toward a middle-aged player in a business suit, pacing and muttering to himself. He's about to crack. Watch. Within 5 minutes, the man had purchased a $40 sandwich and a $50 bottle of wine from the duty-free shop. He ate and drank with frantic urgency, barely tasting anything. He's not surviving 7 days, James whispered. No. He's not built for deprivation. But watch what happens next. Sure enough, an hour later, the man approached other players, trying to sell his remaining wine. $30. It cost me $50. Come on, someone. No takers. Alcohol was an essential, and everyone was hoarding cash for food and water. The man's face darkened with rage and fear. That's when things get dangerous, I explained to James. When people realize their mistakes and start getting desperate, stay away from them. James nodded, absorbing everything like a sponge. By dawn of day 2, I'd spent nothing. James, now operating under my guidance, had spent nothing additional. My stats were manageable. Hunger, 65%. Thirst, 72%. Energy, 68%. James's stats were worse. Hunger, 45%. Thirst, 53%, but improving with the sugar packets and water I'd shown him how to obtain. The morning announcement came. Day 2, hour 18. Current player count, 97. Eliminations, 3. Average remaining balance, $31.20. 3 people had already lost, either by overspending, death, or somehow leaving the game zone. The reality of the situation was setting in across the terminal. I could see it in the way players moved, slower, more cautious, eyeing each other with suspicion. Maya, James said quietly. What do you think happens to people who get eliminated? I don't know, but I don't plan to find out. That's when we heard the screaming. The scream came from Terminal D, shrill and full of genuine terror. James and I ran toward it, joining a stream of other curious and concerned players. We found a crowd gathered around gate D12. At the center lay a body, a young woman, maybe 25, her face pale and eyes staring at nothing. Next to her, a shattered water bottle leaked its contents across the floor. She's dead, someone whispered. Oh God, she's actually dead. A player in medical scrubs pushed through the crowd, checked for a pulse, then sat back on his heels. Definitely dead. But I don't see any obvious cause. My eyes caught something on her wrist display. Balance, minus $3.75. She overspent, I said aloud. The crowd turned to look at me. Her balance is negative, I continued, pointing. The game rules said overspending results in elimination. This must be what that means. That's insane, someone shouted. They killed her for going $3 over? We agreed to the rules. Another voice called back. We all heard them. The medical player stood up, face grim. Whatever the cause, we should move her somewhere respectful. No. The electronic voice of the system cut through everything, emanating from hidden speakers. Bodies of eliminated players will disappear automatically within 1 hour. Do not interfere with the process. All players are reminded. Overspending, death, or leaving the game zone will result in elimination and a $120 million debt. Would anyone like to quit now? The silence was absolute. Negative debt will be transferred to your real-world accounts. Think carefully. James grabbed my arm. Maya, that's not possible, right? They can't actually. This game promised $120 million to the winner, I said quietly. Where did you think that money was coming from? His face went white. From the losers. Exactly. This wasn't just a survival challenge. It was a debt trap. Every player who failed would spend the rest of their lives paying back $120 million, an impossible sum designed to destroy them financially forever. The crowd dispersed slowly, people returning to their corners and hiding spots with new fear in their eyes. The dead woman lay alone, a cautionary tale no one wanted to look at anymore. Maya? James's voice was small. I'm scared. Good. Fear keeps you careful. I pulled him away from the scene. Come on. We need to reassess our strategy. We found a quiet corner in Terminal A, away from the main traffic. I pulled out the notes I'd been keeping mentally and began explaining our situation to James. 7 days, $50. That's $7.14 per day, roughly. But the prices here make that impossible with normal spending. So we survive on zero, or as close to zero as possible. What about the flight? James asked. The one that keeps getting delayed. AA 2847. I blinked. You noticed that too? Hard not to. It's like the game wants us to see it. He pulled up the flight information on a nearby screen. Next scheduled departure. Day 3, 2 p.m. Current delay status. 30 minutes. If this were a normal game, that flight would be significant. An escape route, maybe. Or a trap. I chewed my lip, thinking. We need more information. And for that, we need to talk to more players. I thought we were avoiding other players? We're avoiding desperate players. But there are others like us, smart ones, quiet ones, who are observing and adapting. I scanned the terminal. We need to build a network. Information for information. What kind of information are we looking for? Anything about the game zones. The boundaries. What happens if you try to leave? Whether that flight is real or just a distraction. I stood up. And most importantly, who's running this game, and how do we win it without becoming like them? James looked confused. Like who? I gestured toward the far end of the terminal, where a group of 5 players had gathered, laughing too loudly, showing off shopping bags full of supplies. Their interfaces all showed balances over $40, which meant they'd spent less than 10 each. But I'd been watching them. I'd seen them corner other players, seen the exchanges, seen the fear. Predators, I said simply. People who realize that the rules don't say you can't steal from other players. James's eyes widened. But that's against the law. Not in here. In here, there's only one law. Survive 7 days. I met his gaze. And that's exactly why we need to be smarter than everyone else. The system announcement crackled. Day 2, hour 24 complete. Current player count, 95. Eliminations, 5. Average remaining balance, $28.70. 2 more had fallen while we weren't looking. The game was accelerating. Day 3 arrived with a subtle shift in atmosphere. The airport felt smaller somehow. More oppressive. I checked my interface. Hunger, 51%. Thirst, 63%. Energy, 54%. Balance, $50. Still unspent. Still surviving. James was adapting faster than I'd expected. His stats had stabilized, and he'd even found a discarded protein bar under a seat that was only 2 days past expiration. Small victories, but victories nonetheless. Maya, look at this, he whispered, showing me something on the public channel. Private messages had started appearing, visible only if you knew where to look in the interface settings. Someone had figured out how to create encrypted channels. Trading post, gate C23, discretion required, password, survivor. A black market, I murmured. Clever. Should we check it out? Absolutely not, I said immediately. Then reconsidered. Actually, you stay here. I'll scout it. That wasn't the deal. Partners, remember? He was right. Fine. But stay close and don't say anything unless I signal you. Gate C23 was in a dimmer section of Terminal C, away from the main concourse. A dozen players had gathered, speaking in hushed tones. At the center stood a tall woman with close-cropped hair and calculating eyes. Player 7, according to her display. Welcome to the trading post, she said as we approached. Rules are simple. Everything can be traded. Money, food, water, information, services. No violence. Break that rule, you're banned. How do you enforce a ban? Someone asked skeptically. Player 7 smiled coldly. There are 30 of us in this network. You try to cheat us, we make sure everyone knows. And then you're on your own against the desperate ones. Fair point. What's for trade? I asked. Today's offerings, 3 bottles of water, $15 each. 2 sandwiches, 30 each. A disposable phone charger, 10. And, she paused for effect, information about the game boundaries, $50. $50. My entire stake. What kind of information? James asked before I could stop him. The kind that might keep you alive. The boundaries aren't fixed, they're shrinking. By day 5, this entire terminal section will be out of bounds. Murmurs of alarm rippled through the group. How do you know this? I asked carefully. One of our members tried to go to Terminal E yesterday. Got a warning on their interface. Return to authorized zone within 60 seconds or be eliminated. They made it back with 5 seconds to spare. She crossed her arms. So yes, the zone is shrinking. And if you're in the wrong place when it closes, you're dead. That explained 2 of the eliminations at least. How much to join your network? I asked. Nothing. But you contribute information and you take on assignments when asked. Think of it as mutual aid. What kind of assignments? Scouting. Resource gathering. Sometimes, she glanced around, dealing with problem players. There it was. The catch. I'll think about it, I said neutrally. Don't think too long. Offer expires day 4. She turned to the next player. James and I retreated to our corner. That's how they're surviving, James said. Organized crime. Not crime. Economics. They've created a market where resources are scarce. I frowned. But the information about shrinking boundaries, that's valuable. So we join them? No. We verify the information independently, then decide. I checked the flight board again. AA 2847 was now scheduled for day 4, 8 a.m. That flight is in Terminal E. James caught on immediately. The terminal that's about to be closed off. Exactly. Which means either the flight is a trap, or it's an escape route they're trying to prevent people from reaching. How do we find out which? I smiled grimly. We test the boundaries ourselves. Testing the boundaries required preparation. I couldn't risk getting eliminated on a scouting mission, which meant I needed precise timing and a backup plan. Day 3, 10 p.m. The airport's night cycle was in full effect, fewer NPCs, dimmer lighting, and exhausted players sleeping in corners. Perfect conditions for exploration. You sure about this? James asked as we approached the Terminal D/E connector. No. But knowledge is survival. I checked my interface. Stay 50 feet behind me. If I get a warning, I'll run back. You make sure the path stays clear. He nodded, face pale but determined. I walked forward slowly, watching my interface for any changes. Terminal D was definitely authorized. I'd been here before with no issues. The connector hallway was long, lined with moving walkways that had been shut down for the night. 50 feet. Nothing. 100 feet. Still nothing. The entrance to Terminal E appeared ahead, the signs clearly visible. I took another step forward. My interface exploded with red text. Warning. Approaching unauthorized zone. Return within 60 seconds or be eliminated. A countdown began. 59, 58, 57. I ran. My feet pounded against the floor, breath coming fast. James had already turned, clearing the path. The countdown continued in my peripheral vision. 42, 41, 40. I burst back into authorized territory with 27 seconds to spare. The warning disappeared. That, I gasped, was extremely educational. James helped me to a bench. What did you learn? 1. The boundaries are definitely shrinking. 2. The system gives you 60 seconds, which means it's possible to get close, grab something, and retreat. 3. I pulled up the map on a terminal screen. Terminal E is where all the long-term services are. Hotels, extended stay lounges, shower facilities. Everything that would make this bearable. They're forcing us into worse conditions, gradually, making the game harder as time goes on. I trace the map with my finger. By day 5, we'll lose Terminal C too, probably. Day 6, Terminal B. By day 7, everyone will be crammed into Terminal A, fighting over scraps. That's when the real violence starts, James said quietly. Yes. I stood up, decision made. Which means we need to stockpile resources before we lose access. Tomorrow, we raid Terminal E. But you just said it's unauthorized. I said we have 60 seconds. That's enough time if we're fast and smart. I pulled up the flight information one more time. AA 2847 was still there, still delayed, still taunting us. And we need to figure out what's on that flight. Day 4, 6 a.m. James and I stood at the Terminal E boundary, watching the countdown on my interface. I tested it 3 more times during the night, learning exactly where the trigger point was. Okay, I briefed James. You stay here and monitor the time. I go in, grab whatever I can from the convenience store just inside and get out. 30 seconds max. What if you don't make it? Then you run, and don't look back. No heroes. He didn't like it, but he nodded. I took a deep breath and crossed the boundary. Warning. Approaching unauthorized zone. Return within 60 seconds or be eliminated. 59, 58, 57. The convenience store was 20 feet ahead. I sprinted, grabbed the first items I could reach, water bottles, energy bars, a blanket, and shoved them into my backpack. The countdown hit 30 seconds. Time to go. I turned and ran back. Items bouncing in the bag. James waved frantically from the boundary. The countdown hit 15 seconds as I crossed back into safe territory. Made it. I panted, collapsing next to him. We'd stolen maybe $30 worth of supplies without spending a cent. James grinned despite himself. But my attention was caught by something else, something I'd glimpsed in Terminal E, near Gate E7. A door marked, game control, authorized personnel only. The system wasn't just running automatically. Someone was physically here, managing it. And that meant the game could be beaten from the inside. Day 4 afternoon. The announcement crackled. Current player count, 82. Eliminations, 18. Average remaining balance, $19.40. We were past the halfway point in both time and survivors. The atmosphere had shifted from nervous anticipation to grim determination. Players moved in groups now, watching each other with open suspicion. James and I rationed our stolen supplies carefully. My balance remained at $50 untouched. His at $23.50. Between us, we had enough to potentially survive, if nothing went wrong. But I couldn't stop thinking about that door. Maya, you've got that look again, James said. The one that means you're about to do something crazy. Not crazy. Calculated. I pulled him aside. That door in Terminal E, game control. If we could get inside. We'd what? Hack the system? We're not in a movie. No, but we could gather information. Understand how this game really works. Maybe find a way to... I hesitated, then said it. To help more people survive. James stared at me. Since when is this about helping other people? You said yourself, charity makes you weak. I said gratitude makes you weak. This is different. I watched a young girl, maybe 19, crying quietly in a corner, her interface showing $4.20 remaining. The game wants us to turn on each other. To become animals fighting for scraps. What if we refuse? Then we probably die. Maybe. Or maybe we find a way to game the game itself. He was quiet for a long moment. Then, okay, what's the plan? The plan was simple in concept, terrifying in execution. Terminal E would be closed off by tomorrow, day 5, which meant tonight was our last chance to access game control. But getting through that door required more than just speed. It required a distraction. That's where Player 7 and her trading post network came in. I found her at Gate C23, conducting her usual business. I'm ready to join the network, I announced. She raised an eyebrow. Change of heart. Change of strategy. I have information you need, and I need a favor in return. I'm listening. The flight, AA 2847. It's real. It's a way out of the game, but only for people who can afford the ticket. Her eyes sharpened. Price. I don't know yet, but I know where to find out. I leaned in. Game control, Terminal E. There's a door, and behind it, someone managing this entire operation. Get me inside, and I'll share everything I learn. How do you propose we get inside a locked door in an unauthorized zone? Create a distraction at the Terminal D/E boundary. Make it big enough that whoever's monitoring the system has to focus on that. I slipped through during the chaos. She considered this. And if you get caught, then I'm eliminated, and you lose nothing. But if I succeed, you get actionable intelligence about how to beat this game. Player 7 smiled slowly. You're either brilliant or suicidal. Possibly both. She extended her hand. Deal. Distraction happens tonight, 2 a.m. You'll have 5 minutes, max. We shook on it. 2 a.m., day 5. I watched from my position as Player 7's network executed the plan. 20 players approached the Terminal E boundary simultaneously, creating confusion and triggering warnings on multiple interfaces. The public channel exploded with panicked messages. In the chaos, I slipped through. Warning. Approaching unauthorized zone. Return within 60 seconds or be eliminated. I ignored the countdown, sprinting toward Gate E7 and the game control door. It was locked, but I'd expected that. What I hadn't expected was that it would open easily when I tried to handle. They'd been watching. They wanted me to enter. Inside was a small office with banks of monitors showing every terminal, every player, every transaction. And sitting at the central console was a woman in her 40s, watching me with amusement. Player 66, she said. Maya Patel. We've been waiting for you. My blood ran cold. Who are you? I'm the game master. And you, Maya, our favorite contestant. She gestured to the screens. You've spent nothing, helped another player, figured out our boundaries, and now you're here, trying to hack the system. Remarkable. What do you want? She smiled. To make you an offer. Join us. Help us run the next game. Walk away now with $10 million and no debt. 10 million. A fortune. Safety. Everything I'd ever needed. And if I refuse? Then you go back out there and try to survive 3 more days with 81 competitors, shrinking territory, and dwindling resources. Your choice. I looked at the monitors. Saw James waiting at the boundary, trusting me to return. Saw the young crying girl, now asleep, her supplies nearly gone. Saw all the players who'd been pushed into this impossible situation by people like the woman in front of me. I refuse, I said. Her smile vanished. Then you'd better run. Your countdown is at 15 seconds. I ran. Behind me, I heard her laughing as the door slammed shut. 10, 9, 8. I burst through the boundary with 3 seconds to spare, collapsing into James's arms. Did you find anything? He asked frantically. Yeah, I gasped. I found out this game is even worse than we thought. And I found out exactly how we're going to win it. The announcement crackled. Day 5 begins. Terminal E now closed. Current player count, 79. Good luck. 3 days left. 79 players. And now I knew the truth. The real game was just beginning. Day 5, 4 a.m. I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the game master smile, heard her laughter echoing through that control room. She'd been so confident I would take the money, so certain that survival instinct would override everything else. She didn't understand people like me. When you've been dirt poor your whole life, you learn that some things matter more than money. Like dignity. Like proving that the system doesn't own you. James stirred beside me, waking from his own restless sleep. You okay? No. But I have a plan. I pulled him closer, speaking quietly. The game master offered me 10 million to quit. That means she's worried. We've done something that threatens their control. What could we possibly have done? We're just trying to survive. Exactly. We're surviving without playing their game. We haven't turned on each other. We haven't spent money in panic. We've adapted. I gestured around the terminal. And if other players figure out what we know, the game breaks down. No desperation means no entertainment. James's eyes widened. This is entertainment? People are watching us. Has to be. $120 million prize, elaborate setup, cameras everywhere. This is a spectacle. And we're the show. The announcement crackled. Day 5, hour 6. Current player count, 76. Eliminations, 24. Average remaining balance, $14.20. 3 more had fallen during the night. The pace was accelerating. So, what's the plan? James asked. We break their game. We teach everyone what we know. Free water, free food, how to survive without spending. We turn this from a competition into a collective resistance. Maya, that's insane. Most of these people would steal from us the moment we turned our backs. Some would, but not all. I pointed across the terminal to a small group huddled together, sharing a single bottle of water. Those people are trying to help each other. And there are others like them. We find them, organize them, and we survive together. And when the game master sees what we're doing, I smiled grimly. Then we'll find out just how badly she wants her show to continue. Over the next 12 hours, James and I became recruiters. We approached players carefully, identifying the ones who showed cooperation rather than aggression. The young girl with $4.20, her name was Sarah, a college student who joined a game to pay off loans. A middle-aged man named Marcus who'd been quietly helping others find water sources. A pair of sisters, Elena and Carmen, who'd been pooling their resources from the start. By evening, we had 15 players gathered in a quiet corner of Terminal B. Why should we trust you? Marcus asked, eyeing me suspiciously. You shouldn't, I said honestly. But here's what I know. We have 3 days left. Most of you have less than $15. At current prices, that buys you maybe 1 more meal. So your options are, spend your last money and hope for a miracle, steal from others and become a target, or work together and find ways to survive without spending. How? Sarah asked, her voice small. I shared everything. The water fountains, the sugar packets, the timing of food discounts, the airport maintenance closets with supplies. How to read people, how to stay warm, how to manage hunger and thirst with free resources. This is all well and good, Elena said, but what about the shrinking boundaries? By day 7, we'll be crammed into Terminal A with everyone else. That's when it gets violent. Which is why we need numbers. Safety in numbers, intelligence in numbers. I pulled up the terminal map. We organize into shifts. Some sleep while others watch. We share all resources equally. And we stay away from the predator groups. What about that flight everyone keeps talking about? Carmen asked. AA 2847. Is it real? I hesitated. This was the part one wasn't sure about. I think it is. I think it's an escape route, but probably at a cost. Maybe it requires spending money. Maybe it only takes a few people. I don't know yet. So, we could be building this resistance for nothing, Marcus said. Or, James interjected, we build it and survive long enough to figure out what that flight really means. Either way, we're better off together than alone. Slowly, heads began to nodding. All right, Marcus said. I'm in. But if this goes sideways, I'm looking out for myself. Fair enough, I agreed. By midnight, we had 23 players in our group. 23 people who'd agreed to share resources and knowledge. It wasn't much, but it was a start. The announcement came. Day 5 complete. Current player count, 71. Terminal C will close in 24 hours. Good luck. Player 7 found me an hour later. Interesting move, player 66, she said, leaning against a pillar. Building a commune. Very idealistic. Idealism has nothing to do with it. It's strategy. Is it? She smiled. Because from where I'm standing, you just painted a target on your back. My network has been watching your little recruitment drive. Some of them think you're a threat. And what do you think? I think you're going to get people killed. Her expression hardened. There's a reason I built a trading network instead of a charity. Resources are finite. The more people you try to save, the less likely any of them survive. Then why are you here warning me? She paused. Because you got into game control, and I want to know what you saw. I considered lying, then decided against it. I saw monitors. Every camera in this airport feeds to that room. And I met the game master. She offered me money to quit. How much? 10 million. Player 7 whistled low. And you refused? You're either noble or stupid. I'm tired of being part of their entertainment, I said simply. They set this up to watch us destroy each other. I'm not playing that game. Noble then. Definitely getting yourself killed. She pushed off from the pillar. For what it's worth, I hope you prove me wrong. This place could use a little hope. She started to walk away, then turned back. One more thing. AA 2847? It's scheduled for final boarding on day 7, 6 a.m. 6 hours before the game ends. Whatever it is, that's when you'll find out. She disappeared into the crowd before I could ask more questions. Day 6 arrived with chaos. Terminal C closed exactly as promised, forcing another 20 players into the increasingly crowded terminals A and B. The atmosphere turned toxic instantly, too many desperate people in too little space with too few resources. The first fight broke out at 8 a.m. over a discarded half sandwich. 2 players beat each other bloody before security and PCs intervened. Both were eliminated for violence, their balances zeroed, bodies disappearing within the hour. The announcement. Current player count, 69. Violence against other players results in immediate elimination. All remaining funds forfeited. At least the system had rules against murder. Small comfort. My resistance group had grown to 31 players, nearly half the remaining survivors. We'd established a system, rotating watches, shared supplies, collective problem solving. It was working. Most of our members still had over $10 in their balances. But success brought attention. At noon, a group of 8 players approached our corner. I recognized their leader, the blonde kid from day 1, the one who'd bragged about surviving on water alone. His interface showed $8.50. He looked hungry, desperate, and angry. You've got supplies, he said without preamble. We want in. Everyone's welcome, I said calmly. The rules are simple. Share what you have, contribute what you can, no violence, no stealing from group members. Screw your rules. We don't want to join. We want your stuff. He cracked his knuckles. Several of his group did the same. James stepped forward, but I put a hand on his arm. If you attack us, you get eliminated. The system just announced it. Only if we get caught. There are no cameras in the bathroom corridors. His smile was ugly. So here's how this works. You give us half your supplies, or we take all of them. Behind me, I felt my group tensing. This was the moment, fight or submit. Either choice could lead to elimination. Marcus, I said quietly. Show them. Marcus stepped forward and held up his interface, broadcasting it so everyone could see. We've been documenting everything. Every supply we have, where we got it, when we got it. All free resources, nothing purchased, nothing stolen. You take from us, you're taking nothing the system cares about. But you hurt us, and we all report you. 31 witnesses against 8. The blonde kid's expression flickered with uncertainty. You want to survive? I continued. Join us and learn how. You want to rob us? Go ahead, take our trash can blankets and sugar packets. See how far that gets you. For a long moment, nobody moved. Then Sarah stepped forward. I only have $4 left. Before I joined this group, I was crying myself to sleep, convinced I was going to die. Now I have water, food, warmth, and hope. You can have violence and theft, or you can have survival. Choose. One by one, the blonde kids group members lowered their fists. 2 of them actually stepped away from their leader entirely. This is bullshit, the blonde kid spat. But he was backing down, already turning away. You're all going to die anyway. They left. My group erupted in quiet celebration, but I felt no relief. We'd won this confrontation, but there would be others. And each time, we'd be rolling dice with our lives. Maya. James pulled me aside. That was too close. I know. What happens when someone doesn't back down? When they decide 30 witnesses don't matter, if we're all dead? Then we adapt. We always adapt. But my voice lacked conviction. The announcement crackled. Day 6, hour 12. Current player count, 64. Terminal B will close in 12 hours. Final zone. Terminal A only. 64 players would be compressed into a single terminal tomorrow. Our group of 31 would be a massive target. We need that flight, James said quietly. AA 2847. It's the only way out. We don't even know what it costs. Could be $100. Could be 1,000. So we find out. Tonight, before Terminal B closes. He met my eyes. Let me go. You've taken all the risks. Let me do this one. I wanted to refuse, to keep him safe. But he was right. I'd been pushing my luck too far. Okay, I agreed. But you're taking Marcus and Elena with you. 3 people, 3 sets of eyes. You find the flight gate, you check the ticketing system, and you get back before the terminal closes. No heroics. He nodded. 3 hours later, they returned with news that changed everything. It's not a ticket, Elena said, breathless from running. It's not a flight at all. What do you mean? I demanded. Marcus pulled up a photo he'd taken on his interface. It showed a departure board for gate A14, listing AA 2847. But instead of a destination, the board read, emergency exit, game withdrawal, cost. All remaining funds plus $50 processing fee. My blood ran cold. It's a trap. It's a choice, James corrected. Pay everything you have plus $50 you don't have, go into debt and escape the game. Or stay and try to win. But nobody can afford $50 more than they have, Sarah said, looking over my shoulder at the photo. We'd all go into debt. Not necessarily. I did the math quickly. Anyone with $50 or more could take it and break even. They wouldn't win the 120 million, but they wouldn't owe it either. How many players have $50 left? Carmen asked. I checked our group. Out of 31 players, only 3 still had over $50. Me, a quiet woman named Diana who'd been incredibly frugal, and Marcus who'd started with savings he'd managed to preserve. 3 of us, I said. Out of our group. Maybe 10 or 12 in the entire game. So the system is offering an out, James said slowly. For people who've survived well, but don't want to risk the final day. Pay your balance plus 50, leave with nothing, owe nothing. It's elegant, I admitted bitterly. It thins the final competition while still maintaining drama. The people who take the exit are admitting defeat. The people who stay are committed to winning or dying. What are you going to do? Sarah asked me directly. 30 sets of eyes turned to me, waiting. I had $50. I could walk away right now, take the emergency exit, go home to my life. No prize but no debt. Safety. Or I could stay, try to win 120 million, and risk losing everything. I'm staying, I said. But I'm not asking anyone else to. If you can afford the exit and you want to take it, no judgment. Surviving this far is victory enough. Diana stood up slowly. I'm taking the exit. I have a daughter at home. $53 in my account. I can't risk the debt. She looked around the group. Thank you all. You saved my life. We said our goodbyes. Diana left for gate A14 with a mixture of relief and regret on her face. Marcus surprised me by saying, I'm 60 years old. Got nothing to lose and everything to gain. I'm seeing this through. The announcement came, day 6, hour 18. Terminal B closing in 6 hours. Current player count, 58. 6 players had taken the emergency exit. 58 remained for the final day. Get some rest, I told my group. Tomorrow is endgame. But I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the Game Master's offer. 10 million to quit. The emergency exit for break-even. The system kept offering escapes, testing our resolve. What were they really measuring? Survival skills? Desperation? Or something else entirely? At 2 a.m., I made a decision. Day 7. 6 a.m. I stood at the entrance to Terminal A with 29 others from my group. Behind us, the barriers to Terminals B and C had sealed shut with finality. Ahead, chaos reigned. 58 players compressed into a single terminal. The air was thick with body odor, fear, and desperation. Most players had less than $5 remaining. Some had none, surviving on the free resources we taught them about, now common knowledge. The flight information board showed AA 2847 still accepting passengers at gate A14. In the 6 hours since midnight, 12 more players had taken the emergency exit. 46 remained. The announcement. Day 7. Final day. Game ends at 12 p.m. Current player count, 46. Prize pool, 120 million divided among all survivors. Good luck. Wait, James said, grabbing my arm. Did that say divided among all survivors? I replayed it in my head.
He was right.
It's not winner take all, Sarah breathed. It's divided between everyone who makes it. The math changed instantly. 46 survivors meant roughly 2.6 million each. If more people survived, the individual prize decreased, but the collective success increased. The system had played us from the beginning, making us think only one person could win, encouraging competition, betting we'd turn on each other. That's why they kept offering exits, I said, understanding flooding through me. They wanted to reduce the number of survivors, increase the individual prize, make it feel more attainable. So what do? Marcus asked. We keep everyone alive, I said immediately. All 46 people. We share what we know with everyone, even the predator groups. We make sure everyone crosses the finish line. Maya, that's crazy. That reduces our prize to 2.6 million. Would you rather have a 1 in 46 chance at 120 million, or a guaranteed 2.6 million? I countered. Besides, that's still more money than any of us have ever seen. James grinned. You're insane. I love it. Let's do it. The next 4 hours were the most frantic of my life. We spread through Terminal A like missionaries, teaching every player we could find the survival techniques we developed. Water fountains, sugar packets, food discount timing, how to stay warm, how to manage hunger. Some players were suspicious, others grateful. A few were openly hostile, convinced it was a trick. But slowly, the message spread. We all survive, or none of us do. Player 7 found me at 9 a.m. You're either a genius or the world's biggest fool. Maybe both, I admitted. Are you in? She studied me for a long moment. My network has $38 collectively. We could trigger the emergency exit and break even, or we could stay and gamble on 2.6 million. She smiled slowly. Screw it. We're in. What do you need? Help us find anyone who's struggling. 3 hours left. We can't lose anyone now. By 10 a.m., we'd accounted for 43 of the 46 players. Everyone was stable. Everyone was surviving. 3 players remained missing. We found the first one at 10:30. A young man collapsed near the bathrooms, his interface showing critical hunger and dehydration levels. James and Marcus carried him to our group, forced water down his throat, fed him sugar packets until his stats stabilized. Why? He gasped. Why help me? Because we all win together, Sarah told him. The second missing player appeared on her own at 10:45, looking shell-shocked. I was going to take the exit, she said. But I couldn't do it. I couldn't give up. You don't have to, I assured her. 45 minutes. You've got this. That left one player. With 30 minutes to go, we still hadn't found them. Split up, I ordered. Search every corner, every bathroom, every gate. Someone's missing. We found him at 11:45 a.m., 15 minutes before the game ended. He was in a maintenance closet, curled in a ball, interface showing $0. He'd spent everything and was waiting to be eliminated. It's over, he said when we opened the door. I'm dead anyway. No, I said firmly. You're at zero, not negative. You didn't overspend. You're still in. But the announcement said, elimination occurs when you're negative, or dead, or leave the zone. You're none of those things. I held out my hand. Come with us. 15 minutes left. You can make it. He stared at my hand like it was a lifeline thrown into dark water. Then he took it. We brought him back to the group at 11:52 a.m. 8 minutes left. 46 players. All accounted for. All surviving. The final announcement came at 11:58 a.m. 2 minutes remaining. All surviving players will receive their portion of the prize pool. Congratulations on your resilience. At 11:59 a.m., I looked around at the faces surrounding me. Exhausted, filthy, but alive. James, Marcus, Sarah, Elena, Carmen, Player 7, and 40 others who'd been strangers 7 days ago. We'd beaten the game, not by defeating each other, but by refusing to play by their rules. At 12 p.m. exactly, the world flashed white. Epilogue. I woke up in a hospital bed, fluorescent lights humming overhead. A nurse smiled at me. Welcome back, Ms. Patel. You've been unconscious for 6 hours. The neural disconnect from the game can be disorienting. It had all been virtual. Some part of me had known, but experiencing it felt different. The others? I asked hoarsely. All awake, all healthy, and all quite wealthy. She handed me a tablet showing a bank statement. $2,608,695.65 had been deposited into my account. $2.6 million. Real money. James appeared in the doorway, grinning. You did it. You actually did it. We did it, I corrected. Over the next few days, I learned what had happened. The Dirt Poor game had been designed as a psychological experiment in human behavior under scarcity. The producers had expected violence, betrayal, and brutal competition. They'd expected maybe 5 survivors at most, each taking home $24 million. Instead, they got 46 survivors and a story about cooperation under impossible circumstances. The show aired globally. We became celebrities overnight. The game that broke the game. Marcus used his money to start a nonprofit helping people escape poverty. Sarah paid off her student loans and went to medical school. Elena and Carmen opened a restaurant. Player 7, whose real name was Diana Chen, started a crisis management consulting firm. And me? I took my $2.6 million and invested it carefully. I bought a small house, nothing fancy. Set up a scholarship fund for kids who grew up dirt poor like me. And I wrote a book about the experience, about how the skills poverty teaches you, resourcefulness, cooperation, resilience, are the same skills that save your life when everything else fails. They offered us a chance to compete in season 2. Higher stakes, more prize money, harder challenges. All 46 of us declined. We'd already won the only game that mattered, the game of staying human when the system wanted us to become monsters. 6 months later, I received a package. Inside was a simple card. You broke our game, Ms. Patel. Well played. But the world is full of games, and not all of them offer exits. Stay sharp. Stay human. We'll be watching. It was unsigned, but I recognized the handwriting from that control room. The Game Master. I burned the card and got on with my life. Some games, I've learned, are won by refusing to play. And some victories are measured not in money, but in the people who survive alongside you.